everybody, my name is Eric. I'm making a game. It's a game in Unity. It's called the Godkiller. What kind of game is this? You'll see in a moment. I'll give you a demo. I'll show you recent progress I've made. But before I do that, I just want to talk a little bit about seeing the world as it truly is. And I think a lot of times we start with one idea of what the world should be, and it's really what we want it to be, but the world is actually something different. And we have to make the hard decisions to move on to a correct understanding of reality, really. That, the world just doesn't bend to be what it is that we wish it would be. There's been different times in my life where I had experiences that showed me this. There was one time I was driving down the road. I was a passenger in the car with my family, and my dad was in front, and he's driving, and we go by this nice wooden sign that says South Cooperton Industrial Park, and I'm like, ooh, it's a park. It's like, Dad, can we go to this park? Can we go to the South Cooperton Industrial Park? Dad, is that all right? Dad, he's like, okay, whatever. Okay, we'll go to this park. And we go there, and it's not what I was expecting at all. There's no slides. There's no swings. There's nothing fun there. There's not even like a proper picnic table. They've got some cement benches and a really tiny patch of grass, and it's just surrounded by these repeating corporate buildings, and it's not a fun place to go. It's not what you think of as a park. And I was disappointed about that. I was sad about that. And my dad goes, well, now you've seen it. Now you've seen the South Cooperton Industrial Park. And that was already kind of a difficult moment for me, but I also chose that moment to ask about something else that was on my mind. And I said, Dad, is Santa Claus real? And he looked at me for a little bit. He was choosing his words, and he said, son, you are 47 years old. You need to grow up. And so this is the same message I'm giving to you, is that a lot of you need to grow up. You need to start accepting reality for what it is. Okay? So let me give you a demo of the game here. All right. It's hot. It's hot. Got to turn on the fan. So what am I up to? What did I do yesterday? It's a little bit hard to describe because there's some under the hood stuff. Let me just start with the normal demo of the game. And in a sense, what I did yesterday is so hard to demo. I'm going to do one of the kind of basic overviews of the game that I do from time to time. Let me start this playing. Is it going to maximize on play? Okay, it will. Cool. Alright. So this character here that my mouse is over, that I'm circling around, her name is M, and you control her. You move her north, south, west, east. Okay, it's what I call a stepping game. It has a certain mechanic where the whole world waits to move until you do, but as soon as you move, it instantly moves in reaction to you. So these guys, these two dudes here, are aggressively moving towards me, but they're just waiting until I move. These pink squares around me show possible ways I could go, and they show the predicted outcome of moving in that direction. If it's an open square like this, it means you'll move into it, nothing will happen other than you'll move into it. I guess you'll move into it successfully without consequence is the idea. But sometimes you can see an arrow showing a direction that you'll be pushed if you move into that square. This thing is a guide. It is not necessary to use it. It's just there to kind of help players understand what's going to happen when they move. So if I move east, I take one step there, and then immediately this guy moves towards me, and that'll end up pushing me. But it all happens so fast, and that's by design, that it doesn't slow down and give you an animation of the guy pushing you. That the guide is there to help you understand it a little bit better. So I'll go ahead and move east. The guy pushed me all the way across the room. It's no big deal. I could push him too. And he flew all the way south. This other guy I pushed, he flew all the way south. I need to have some better trails there. To you, it just looked like he disappeared. I'll up my trails at some point. And you can push anyways, so there's pushing, there's walking, which you've seen, there's flinging. Flinging's pretty fun. You hold down on the shift key and you push in the direction you want to go, and you're there in one step. Okay, everything is quantized into steps. So if I go up here and I push, I'm instantly there. I took one step to do it. That thing that just glowed is called an egg. It's where you are born when you die. And when you die, I'll just die right now. The level doesn't reset, with one minor exception. You just basically teleport to an egg and are reborn instantly. Same thing happens with your enemies. When they die, they're also just reborn. They'll be reborn in whichever egg is nearest to them. You'll be reborn in whichever egg you have touched last. What's the point of this whole thing? What are you trying to do? You want to find the level exit. That's basically it. You want to get to the level exit. Find it, get to it. The level exit is this red tower here. Okay? You can go up and down in 3 dimensions and fight things and solve puzzles. And although you're fighting things all the time, it's got a peaceful feel to it because you never have to do anything fast. You move when you're good and ready. I chose not to exit the level quite yet. Over here is a fatal drop-off. These things are axles. They can have different spokes on them. This one's just got one spoke and it's got spikes on one side, but they can be configured different ways. You can use them to destroy enemies. You can use them to set catch points so you have some place to fling to. You can use them to walk on top of if you've got a route that's connected by moving all these spokes together. you can walk on top of them. This is not like a real level of the game. It's just a test level. It's got some stuff thrown onto it. If it were a real level, there would be only one of these bonuses in it. Bonuses are just something to go get. But the rule is every level's got one bonus in it. Not two, not zero. So if you don't see the bonus, you know you have a job that you could accept, an optional thing, to go find the bonus and grab it. This is ice. You'll move all the way across it. So will the enemies. There's more game elements. So I'll move on to the next level. It's another test level I created. Okay, I did complete some work recently. I got the code which chooses a camera position to basically be finalized. So in this game, you never pick a camera position yourself. You just let the game select it for you. That's by design. I don't want something for the player to fiddle with. But in order for me to have this be acceptable, the camera position that gets chosen needs to be pretty good. So if you go next to one of these walls where it needs a straight down angle to see it, instead of the tilted angle, the camera will just automatically hop up there. If I come out here a little bit, it goes back to the tilted. If I go west, it's going to duck down underneath this ceiling, I guess. I made a decision not to worry about a certain infrequent thing, which is if I'm flinging, you can very briefly see when the camera moves through the middle of objects, and it can briefly break the illusion that you're in a real place with solid objects, and you'll see a glimpse of the interior of the object. I just decided it's just not that big of a deal, and the solutions I have to get around it, there aren't really any good solutions. Yeah, I mean, I would have to bring the camera way low here and then have it go under and then come back up. It's just not really worth it for this tiny thing. This is like the worst effect I was able to produce. And I experimented with quite a few alternatives to that. Let's see. So if I go a longer distance, you really can't see it because that camera just whips over to the other side real fast. So I had to shorten this distance quite a bit just so that you could see the effect. And I just decided, it's just not that bad. I nailed down every other problem that I had with the camera movement. I basically finalized it. I had thought I was going to spend a week on it. I thought it was going to be a big deal. It's just not. There's one other case that I looked at. Okay, up on top of this giant building here, there is an egg, and when I die on these spikes, I'll go through this giant block, this whole thing here. But it's so fast that I just can't really see anything important. When I say see anything, I mean any of that inside the object artifact, where the faces of the object you're inside of have their normals in the opposite direction, so that they look like they're missing. Same with that one. And then there's one other case that I did over here. I said, you can't see this, probably it's a little dark, but there's a spike. I'm going to hit it, and I'm traveling like 100 meters or so with the camera. But it's just so fast, you just can't tell. So I'm not worried about it. The camera seems to be done for now, unless I find some other problem that is more noticeable. I guess in the spirit of that whole demoing the fundamentals, let me see if I can show one other thing. Alright, so this is ice again. It's also blocks. Blocks, I don't have everything set up here to show it, but there's different challenges where if you have certain arrangements of blocks, doors open or close, and you want to spell out certain things, so you'll be moving blocks around different ways. Blocks can be used in puzzles for other things as well. When you push a block, it doesn't move like a Sokoban block. It moves, bam, all the way it can go, as far as it can go. There's an X here, a circular X. It's called a block pad. It could have a different letter on it. There could be some blocks that have different letters on them, and some block pads that have different letters. You can destroy a block by pushing it against a wall, and then it returns to the block pad. If you destroy another block and it goes to the same block pad, it stacks up. So there's two blocks there. So there's 4 blocks. Then you can come over to this stack here and you can push the bottom block out and put it back. So it's a lot different kind of puzzle that you get to play through than the typical Sokoban box thing. There's no sense that you're getting all the boxes all claustrophobically packed in, and you're trying to find a path through all the boxes. It's a different feel to it entirely. And I have created some initial puzzles with these blocks. They're fun. They are fun. They're easy to make them. Really enjoyable. Okay, so that's my demo. What am I doing today? I'm working on these pink squares that I told you about, which is called the player guide in my own terminology. I would like them to be a little bit more accurate and informative than they are. So if I go here, this square should really be up over here, because if I go north, I'm not going to land here. I'll slide all the way to this square here. And there's more complicated cases than that when I add the enemies in, particularly around ice, so that predicting, like, if you're going to get pushed or something, it gets more and more difficult. And I have some code that attempts to predict what's going to happen when you move in one of those directions. It's very simple, and I had the choice of adding more edge cases to it and more logic, or reusing the existing logic of the game to predict what would happen. In order to use the existing logic of the game, I have to make kind of like an alternative universe. It's like an extra copy of the game logic, the game state, and then I run the command on it, And in this pure logic, headless, no UI simulation of the game world, I can see what the results are. From the very beginning of this game, I've detached the game state from the representation, so it can run headless. It can run without updating any UI. Whenever these game state evaluations are performed and something needs to happen in the UI, as a result of it, it passes back an effect, and that effect updates the scene inside of Unity. But I can run these headlessly, where those effects that are returned by this game logic processing can just be ignored and not used to update anything. But I can also check what the results are of the player moving in one of those directions without actually updating the player or the scene geometry. So in order to do that, it's a little tricky. I can't just make a copy of the game state every time this needs to happen, because it would be a massive continuous allocation and on the other side of it, garbage collection of memory. Eventually it'll start making my frame rate drop when the garbage collection needs to kick in way too frequently to reclaim more memory. So instead, I create an initial copy of the level or the game state. By the way, that game state is called a board. I'll continue using that term board to mean this pure logical game state thing that is detached from the UI. Okay, so I make 4 copies of the board when the game loads, when the level loads. Okay, 1 for each potential direction of movement. And then when the player is idle and it's time for me to show this guide here, I synchronize each of those 4 copies with the main board, which is the source of truth, so that I end up having 5 copies of the board that are all the same. Then I headlessly, without updates to the UI, perform each of the 4 movement commands on the 4 copies and see what the results are. Then use those to show a better prediction of what will happen when you move in one of the 4 cardinal directions. So that doesn't all work yet. I spent about 8 hours working on that yesterday. I got a start on it. I'm going to keep going with it. It might not be that interesting. I don't think I'll be showing a lot of UI stuff. I think I'll be deep in this board state stuff for a while. But you know, I'm not really here to entertain people with this. So it's just kind of like a ritual. When I go into the work mode, people tend to drop in and chat a little bit. It's always welcome. But I don't promise it's going to be riveting. It might be interesting to you. I don't know. Other sessions where I'm doing stuff with level design, they tend to be a little more rewarding to kind of follow along with me. And depending on who you are, maybe the stuff I'm doing with the game state will be interesting too. But here I go. Time to go to work. I do need to pick a session goal, but I haven't picked it yet because I'm not sure what I can do in this session that I can definitely get done yet. So I'm going to start with a few things and I'll see where I get, and after a bit I may pick a session goal, as it just agonizes me to pick a session goal and not meet it in the session. It's called the Mr. Meeseeks problem. I commented these out. They didn't work. I think they didn't work because not enough things were updated, or not enough things were created successfully within the copy. So should I spend my time trying to get this to work? I don't think so, because there's nothing useful it can do yet. I haven't made a fully correct copy. Let me go back to making a correct copy. I think that's probably the best use of this session. Can't promise I'll be able to get it all done in this session. So again, it's not my session goal yet. Don't want to go full me-6 on it. Okay, so in the board, got this going on. I got this iSyncable thing. Okay, this is the new interface I made. It will be used for synchronization. I do have a bunch of objects that need to implement this. 5:30. It's still pretty early. I'm just gonna go ahead, bite the bullet, pick a session goal. My session goal is to implement iSyncable on One Piece. It's a little wimpy goal, but I may pick a stretch goal after I finish that one. So let me see. So I want to implement iSyncable on heights. So let me go to that. It's synced to actually. I want to get that fan right on me. So if I have that, then I can replace this with the syncable. So we go lights, create copy. There we go. I'm doing this a little bit wrong. I should instead be going piece copy, add to board. Okay. So let me go console. Okay. Bonus piece. I think okay. This one I should just be able to return a new bonus piece. It has the same properties. That's it. That one's done. This one. Okay, I want some kind of base method that copies all of the base properties of a piece over. Is that the right way to do it, though? Oh, This edge is a struct. Yes, it is. Okay, so that could do something good. Let's go back to bonus piece and see. Yeah, seems to be. Wait, do these match? Yeah. Here's the thing. I've got this guy in here, and it matches the exact same interface, but I've chosen not to implement iSyncable up here. I think I'm better off putting it in Piscitil. I could do one other thing. The argument for keeping it here is that it's close to the declaration of the member variables. So if I change these, I'm more likely to remember to change below too. I can add a comment here. Can get rid of this IEnumerator thing. Sync piece 2. Yeah, I'm also thinking I'll just write a comment here that just warns me to update in Piscitil, and I'll move it to Piscitil. Dang it. Alright. Yeah, that's the best argument for keeping it in peace. I don't have to write accessors for all of those. I think I'll just use serializable. Keep going back and forth, and I want it to be. Let's get rid of the from. And I think in the interest of being more future-proof, I can just use serialization here. Yeah. So that probably does it. Okay, that's one of the easiest ones. Okay. So let me see if I've succeeded in getting rid of one warning. So at the start of this, it complains about bonus piece, not implementing isyncable. Okay. So if this works, I'm going to do a quick session because my wife's asking me about something. I'll end up working some more, but I'll have to interrupt the session. It's not that interesting for people to watch anyways, so I'm just going to finish up this little bit. I'm going to stop the session. So if bonus piece doesn't show up in the error messages when I hit play, then I'll call it good. Fixed it. Alright. Stopping the stream. Stopping the stream. Stopping the stream. When? Right now.